Let's call this meeting of the Human Services Committee to order. The only thing that I see from my agenda, which I do not have in front of me,
Hey, Eric.
is agenda item 4-1-21, which is, yeah.
You may want to turn your video off because your I don't think your bandwidth is very strong. You're really lagging.
Okay. All right. Once
There you
again,
go.
we're talking about 4-1-21. This is with regards to the Deputy Emergency Manager Coordinator position, which we sent out to be scored by Mark Notley, Municipal Consulting Services. Geez, I don't remember doing that. How long ago was that, Suzanne? I thought this was all done.
No,
Go ahead.
That was part of something that was approved by the Board of Commissioners during the budget. So it was sent out because the board had already approved the position. And so it didn't have to go to the front end of Human Services. You know, where we say, can I go out and send this out? Because the job itself had already been approved.
Right. Okay. So
But
it comes back. He rates it, he gives it 1,505 points. And that would place the position in a grade 7 on the county's pay grade structure. And Suzanne, grade 7, we're talking what's the range of the salary in grade 7?
Its start rate is $22.39 an hour, and the top end is $29.12 an hour.
Okay, and this person that we've got is coming in at the 22.39 rate?
No one's been hired yet. No.
No one's been hired yet.
No.
Okay.
This is just to approve for the Human Services and then the Board of Commissioners as a whole, the new job description itself. And then it will be put in, if you approve this job and at this rate, which is what we would hope you do because Mark Notley does all of that for us, then
Sure.
it will formally be put into the system, and then Jennifer will be able to go out and start hiring.
Okay.
I've got a couple questions if I could.
Go ahead, Mark.
So I guess what I'd like to, and Suzanne, you said we already approved this job back during the budget?
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of vaguely remember. I'd still like a little refresher on why we need this job and why we're spending the money. I'm not saying we don't, but I mean, there's some other positions we've added, which I wish if I would have asked a few more questions, I may have changed my mind. And so I just want to feel a little bit better about why Jennifer needs this position and just get a little background on it.
Additionally, Mark, I'd like to also ask a question. Could you please tell me what month that was approved? Just as a reminder, I'd appreciate that. Thank you, Bridget.
Okay, Bridget, go ahead first, answer Gay's question, and then Jen, if you could answer Mark's question, appreciate it. Go ahead.
sure. It was approved in the budget. This request came through the budget process and it was approved in the overall budget. At the time, we may have listed it as a planner because we didn't have a job description yet. In conversations with Jen, it made more sense to call it what it really is, and that, which is similar to other jobs like this around the state in offices of emergency management, and that is a deputy emergency manager. That's actually what's referenced in the emergency operations plan as well.
So this is the planner position that I remember, and it's morphing into a deputy coordinator position.
Yeah, deputy emergency manager. We just changed the title of it basically. The scoring came out really
very
close
good
to what we had already budgeted. So I'm not anticipating a budget adjustment of any sort. It's really just a title change. And we didn't have a full job description at the time, so we needed to have it sent out, scored, and all that jazz. But I'll let Jennifer talk a little bit more about why.
That tells me a lot more. So I'm okay, Mark.
Okay. Go ahead, Jen.
Jen, if you want to address Mark's question. Jennifer.
Yep, you're just broken up, Eric, so I was just waiting for your mic to tap.
Okay.
So this position really is to help divide some of my workload. I mean, things I mean, I felt like I was just finally getting above water after the 17 flooding event, and then this happened, and this is a huge ongoing. We're looking at 2 years or so of recovery. I have 2 flood study things going on, plus long-term recovery. I mean, there's so much going on. Since March 13th, I have not touched any of my day-to-day work. I have been living and breathing nothing but COVID and assisting health department. And then when the dam broke, I was out of my office between May 18th to July 9th. I was not in my office. So I have an emergency management performance grant that supports my position. In order for me to meet the work requirements of that grant, I have to do day-to-day stuff as well. I still have exercise and training requirements. I still have plans update. Our plans have timelines. You know, they can't be older than 4 years. They have to be reviewed. We have a new sheriff on duty. We have a new police chief on duty. We have new people starting the city. When all these things change, I have to almost start over with those people and bringing them on, understanding their roles and responsibilities with emergency management, the flooding plan. It's just a lot that's going on, and I can't do it all myself. When I was talking with Bridget, I feel like I can try to maintain day-to-day and do nothing more, or we can really try to do some great things with emergency services in this community. We're just kind of at a breaking point, and with emergency services, with everything that's gone on this last year and the last couple of years, where there's just so much water and there's so much more that was required from the state of emergency management. Emergency management has really changed in the last 5 and 10 years. And it seems like the state, if they can't figure out who to give it to, they give it to emergency management. And the planner was able to take on some of that responsibility that's associated with our Homeland Security grant requirements, but he's not able to do the grant doesn't allow for him to work on any day-to-day operations. They would not cover any of his time in the EOC. It won't cover any of the time he spent helping with PPE in the health department and getting supplies out. So this position would help me do those things. It also helped me divide some of my workload so day-to-day stuff could go on. I can keep up with that or keep oversight of that, plus also work on all these new projects that have come along with the dam filler, the flooding, the new flood projects, those types of things. It's just a lot of work. And a critical piece to this also is if I go on vacation, someone here that does day-to-day emergency management can operate the EOC. Our last 2 EOC activations have been really catastrophic things. I have volunteer people to be my deputies, Kevin Beeson and Dave Thompson, but things have changed so much, and there's so much that goes on in my office and world working with community partners on planning that I don't even have time to keep Kevin updated. And when it's flooding most of the time, Kevin's got the courthouse, Kevin's got facilities, Kevin's got other job responsibilities associated with these things that are very separate from also running and managing an EOC. And I think it's not fair for our community to put that responsibility on volunteer people. This is a critical role that we need someone that can come in and follow the steps properly so that when we need state and federal assistance, we're getting that. And one of the questions I had posed to Bridget is if I'm in Florida or if I'm 12 hours away or something, am I supposed to stop and come back? Or is someone supposed to be here to keep things going? And the answer I got was there's supposed to be someone here to kind of keep things going, that I shouldn't be like trying to like drive home in 20 hours or do whatever. And right now I don't feel that we have the resources for that, given how big of these events have been the last couple of years and how long ongoing. If it wasn't for COVID, I would have been in the middle of Tennessee, more than 13 hours away when the dam failed.
All right, Bridget, you wanted to, thanks, Jennifer, appreciate that. And I think that's probably going to be enough. But Bridget, you wanted to chime in about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back to you, Mark.
I just want to add into, it's really important to remember that the environment with corporations and chemical companies and chemical related companies is different in the city, in the community than it used to be. We used to have 2 chemical plants that we had to worry about, and now we have 5 chemical related companies that all need plans, all have different players now, and it's a lot more coordination. On top of the fact that we have so many more requirements or expectations even in the community as it relates to the safety of the schools. So I think that there's a lot more responsibility now as well. And when Jennifer says emergency management is changing, I think not just that has changed, but also the landscape in the Midland community has changed. And there's an expectation that, you know, the county emergency management office is looked at as the expert in certain areas, and also really does need to coordinate, because we've mainly had natural disasters as the emergencies that we've had to deal with in the last few years. But some of us have been around long enough to remember when there were chemical spills and tanker trucks that turned over on US 10 and train derailments. Those things are all still possibilities, and we need to be prepared for them. So that was it. Thanks, Eric.
All righty, thank you. Mark, you wanted to add an additional point or ask another question? You're still on mute, but.
So roughly, Bridget, I would guess would probably be for you, or Mike, but I don't see Mike here. What do you think the impact to the budget should be? Let me go start by saying I agree. I think that this is a position we do need. So I wanted to hear background. I know how hard you work, Jennifer, so that wasn't against you, but it was also, I need to know what I'm approving if I'm going to approve something. So
what I approved, what I put in the budget, Mark, was that the net cost to the county was between $20,000 and $25,000, because I'm going to look for some partnerships to help fund this position if possible. Now, if that doesn't work out the way I'm hoping, then I may need to come back to the board and say, look, this is still important. We may need to increase our contribution or our portion of the cost sharing on this position. But I really, really, really think I'm going to be able to be successful in garnering some offsetting costs. I think the total position was budgeted at about $70,000. That includes all the benefits and the wages.
And then Eric, if I can go one more time.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Just since I haven't got to do this in a long, long time, I move to approve.
I had one more additional question. I'm sorry, Mark.
Gay, go ahead.
Yes, Jennifer, I would like to know if that person you think, I don't know if it's just a bit too soon, would that person that has the planner position be potentially a candidate for this? Not.
No,
Okay.
they have a
So
full.
it's going to be a completely new hire. And Suzanne, when would you think that process would start then? Here we go again.
It can start after the board approves it. So
Okay,
essentially it can start after the 19th if the board approves it.
okay.
Well,
Okay,
I'm just going to weigh in on that, because I'll just tell you,
Yeah.
we're not going to advertise this job until I've got money lined up to pay for it.
Okay, we
So-
don't start then.
that could be
Let's
like
start when
March.
Bridget says we're going
So-
to.
Technically, it could start after the
Right.
board approves it, but we got a little bit more legwork to do.
And yeah, and I'd appreciate that, Bridget. It sounds to me like you've got some shoulders to tap and you already know where you're going to go, and that's okay. You don't need to share that with us. You can report out later on, but I'll be crossing my fingers and hoping that goodness sakes alive, everybody has seen between Jennifer and Bridget, the two, and Brad from the city, and Mark, it was, you're our key leaders and throughout that whole process for 2 months. Speaking just of the flood, no one's forgotten that. I mean, not here. So, and that's all I have. And I don't have anything, and it sounds like Mark, Eric now he'll say, is there any further questions?
So we have a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
I would
Point.
support that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I as well. Opposed, the same? Hearing none, motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the Human Services meeting today?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you very much. We are adjourned.